My name is Jason Schoendorfer. I'm co-owner and chief smoker at Babe's Meat and Counter, and today we're going to be tasting honey hams. So looks like your standard sliced deli lunch meat here. This is a particular category of hams. Honey hams, I guess, would be a subset of what you would call a deli or city ham. Traditionally, hams are made from the rear leg of the pig. And going back to the oldest times, were typically salted, cured, then sometimes cold smoked, but typically left hung to dry for a certain period of time. We came about with the things that we call prosciutto, jamon iberico, American country ham. That's the most traditional form of ham. Seems like what we have here, honey ham, is a little bit of a different thing. Also typically made from the rear leg of the pig. However, usually a process, it involves brining and either some form of cooking or hot smoking. Deli meat style ham is kind of done in that fashion. It's a much faster process, can be a lot cheaper, but still produces some great stuff. But it's a slightly different product. Typically, I know in the process that we do at the shop, we brine our hams and then smoke them to temperature. I'm gonna guess these probably either have some form of smoke, whether it be liquid smoke that's been injected or brined into it, or possibly even some light smoking in the process of them cooking these hams. You notice a lot of commercial deli meats are pressed into shapes. A ham in the back of a pig doesn't normally come in a perfect circle or these weird oval shapes that you get going on here that look like loaves of bread. So hams, in this style of ham in particular, can be pressed and molded into different shapes that you then create. Our first one here is looks like that kind of bread loaf shape. Very pink. It's got a very pale color, which is, you know, this is kind of the common ham color, pink. That's what everybody knows. A lot of that is from the curing salt, sodium nitrate that's used in the process. Something that's been used to preserve meat for thousands of years. Let's just give this one a try and see what we got here. Somehow sweet and super salty at the same time. That one right off the bat has the kind of rubberiness of a sliced deli meat that you would normally think of in the kind of lowest common denominator sense. Not bad, still got a good flavor in the end, you know. Initial bite was just very rubbery. Put enough mustard and mayo in a sandwich, I'll probably still eat it. Number two here, let's see, circles. Circles, this one's streaky. I see you got some streaks of the muscle here. You can kind of see the grains of the muscle go along here. So this looks kind of more of a realistic product, I guess, if you want to say. It kind of looks like a muscle, so which it should be. Let's give this one a go. That's not bad. That one has more, I can taste the pork first, which is good. You want to taste meat. It has a nice subtle sweetness, just the right amount of salt. Overall, that was really nice. A decent piece of ham. Number three, we have back to the bread loaf shape. You can smell the smoke on that one from the first bite. Definitely a nice smokiness and a good sweetness. I like that one. Definitely the smokiest one of the bunch so far, which kind of has me leaning towards that as I'm a fan of smoked meats. All right, I like this one on the end here, mostly because it looks the realest of the bunch. And I only mean that in the sense that it's not a perfectly symmetric shape here. It's kind of in the bread loaf style, but you can see when they sliced it, it kind of has this like real rustic kind of look to it. I don't know if you can get in on that there. Still kind of got the same pale pinkish flavor and uniformness of appearance of muscle that you have in a lot of these other ones. But, you know, the rough edges and the crinkly edges, something about it kind of looks like somebody sliced this by hand on a slicer. I kind of like that vibe, so. Let's see here. Super sweet on the front. Really nice, mild flavor. Sliced a little bit thinner than the others, which I kind of prefer in a sliced deli meat. Super sweet though. Heavy on the sweetness. I think it would probably have a little more salt to balance, but that was good. That was good. I really like that one too. I think I was a little more biased too because of the shape. I'd definitely say I'm much more of a fan of these last three. These two definitely had, texturally, were probably my favorite. The smoke on this one was excellent. I mean, excellent in the sense of all of these ones here. As far as giving me some smokiness that I like. And unfortunately, this one here, it was a textural thing for me. I mean, it had a very rubbery bite from the get-go, which is something I'm not a fan of when it comes to deli meats. I prefer them sliced fresh than having more of a nicer texture than the kind of rubberiness of this one. So definitely not a fan there. Yeah, as somebody who makes ham on a regular basis, I don't buy or eat much of these kind of products, but I am a fan of the kind of these products as I make them myself. But definitely understand the process of trying to do things on a bigger scale than what we do ourselves. We're more of an artisan shop, very handmade. When you're producing on a scale as large as these guys are probably doing, you know, there's some things that are changed and things that need to be adapted to still be able to put out even a decent product like this. So I gotta say, I think it did a good job of, you know, being able to probably produce thousands and thousands of pounds of this at a time, but to create a product that consistently, I'm sure, you know, it was not bad. So I'm not gonna say I'm gonna buy this kind of thing all the time. Seeing is how I kind of make it in-house and don't really need to, but not a bad faring by some of these guys here. Definitely curious to see what we got in front of us. So, what do we got here? Sorry, I love you, Publix, but I figured this was a generic kind of ham off the get-go. So this was the Publix thin sliced honey ham, and it tastes like a generic ham. Oscar Mayer, I gotta say, I was pretty impressed. That was pretty good for an Oscar Mayer product. Not always wowed by the things they do, but that was not too bad. Healthy Ones, a brand I've never heard of. But again, I really enjoyed the smoke on this one. Be curious to see. Let's see, do they put... No, it actually looks like there's real smoke in here. I don't see any liquid smoke additive, so that's great. That's a great thing to have in a ham. And then we have the Hillshire Farm Ultra Thin. That was a big thing for me. I really enjoy that. It's a really good version of a ham here. This is a little bit of pet peeve of mine. I don't know if it's a tangent we could go off of here real quick, but a lot of these packages here have something here. I noticed here, I said it right off the bat here, no nitrates or nitrites added. This one says uncured honey ham. Some of the labeling now, because of loopholes that are allowed in, I believe, the FDA, when it comes to cured products, will allow manufacturers to do things such as this, where it says it's uncured, which kind of feeds into some of the hype against the usage of sodium nitrates as a preservative in food products. It's misleading. It says that it's uncured. It kind of purports to the fact that there's no nitrates. It's careful to say added, but there's always an asterisk. And if you read the asterisk, while they don't use actually synthetically produced sodium nitrates or nitrites in their products, they kind of pull an end around and go around this by using things such as celery powder or cherry juice. Things that are natural in nature, but also do naturally contain sodium nitrites, the same exact products that, you know, they're saying that is not in there. So it's a little bit of a labeling gray area. That's always been a pet peeve of mine. The usage of these chemicals not even chemicals, these minerals in the production of meats has been essential in the preservation of meat for humanity. And I think helped us get to the point where we are as far as allowing us to preserve proteins in that fashion. And you know, there's a little bit of demonization when it comes nutritionally to those things. You know, when it comes to like nitrosamines, I'm getting a little nerdy here when it comes to it, but you know, there's been linkage of nitrosamines being a carcinogen. And while those things are true, you know, the usage and the proper amounts of sodium nitrates don't necessarily have to manifest and turn into nitrosamines, which is getting really nerdily scientific here. But basically, in moderation, products that use curing salts are not as harmful as people like you to make them think they are. So that manifests into marketing here. So the uncured and no nitrates added labeling becomes a selling point for a lot of companies, which then gets deceptive because they are really using those same minerals, even though in another form that they're allowed to say they're not using it in. It's always been a pet peeve of mine since I began making bacon and ham and other products that contain sodium nitrates in them. Like I said, when used properly, it's been essential to preservation. And I don't think the demonization of it is necessary. So it's just my 2 cents. So I knew I was gonna see a label with that, it was gonna set me off, so here we go.
Cool.
Yeah, I was surprised by some of like Hillshire and Oscar Mayer. I thought those were, you know, for being like big companies that, you know, sometimes don't put out the most finest of products that, you know, I'd eat them on a sandwich for sure.